grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, وَاشْكُرُونِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونِ. Be grateful to me and do not be ungrateful. And he mentions, وَاشْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ إِيَّاهُ تَعْبُدُونَ. Be grateful to my blessings. Be grateful for my blessings upon you if you are worshiping me. If you're worshiping someone else, then that's up to you. But if you are worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then ensure that we are grateful to him. But the sad reality is, most of us are not. He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Indeed, Allah is very graceful with his blessings upon the human beings. Very graceful. He gives way more than they deserve. He gives way more than they expect. However, وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Vast majority of people are not grateful to Allah. Vast majority of people are not content and happy with what he has given them, but they spend their days and nights comparing with what others have been given, thereby becoming ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the deen and for the dunya, for anything that they have. And this is, you know, this is, whose attribute is to be ungrateful? This is obviously Shaytan's attribute. Shaytan is the biggest ungrateful person, being, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him everything. He had made him, at least Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a great status. According to some narrations, he would actually even have lessons for the angels. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him that respect and status way before we were around. But then Allah asked him that now I've created a new creation. His name is Adam. And you just like you used to worship me, well, today I still want you to worship me, but out of respect for what I've created, I want you to show respect to Adam. He didn't like that. The ego came in. He didn't like that. I've been around much longer. I'm much more knowledgeable. Why should I bow down out of respect for someone who's been created out of mud and soil? Allah has been created out of fire. He started using logic in front of Allah. Logically, fire is superior to mud and soil. Why should I bow down and show respect to someone who is superior to me? What he failed to understand was, you're not worshiping him because he's more virtuous or less virtuous, or you made up this. You are not to worship. You are bowing down only and solely because Allah asked you to do so. Tomorrow he tells you to bow down towards this, we do that. He tells you to bow down to that, we do that. At the end of the day, we are obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and no one else. So he didn't like that, and he got himself exiled out of Jannah on the basis of being ungrateful. And so he tells Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَأَتِيَنَّهُمْ بِبَيْنِ يَدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ Oh, I'm going to attack this human being. I hate this human being. I'm going to attack him from the front, from the back, from the right, from the left, from all directions. He's the reason I'm out of Jannah. He's the reason I'm out of Jannah. And so now, for lifelong, is my envy pronounced with this human being. And then he tells Allah, وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. I will ensure that you will find the majority of these human beings ungrateful to you. You will find, Shaitan is telling Allah, you will see that the majority of these human beings will be ungrateful. Meaning, this was my weakness, and I'm going to ensure that I use the same weakness as a human being. I got kicked out of Jannah due to ingratitude, and I'm going to use the same tactics on human beings, so that they become ungrateful to you. And then, because of their ingratitude and ungratefulness, they will be deprived of your favors. My beloved friends, it's something to think about. That this is the crux of how he got out and how he's coming after us. When we find ourselves saying things like, God, it could have been better. And I don't know why this is happening to me in my life. Why me? Why now? And speak statements of that. These are not small statements. These are extremely heavy, weighty statements. Consequences could be very bad. When a person is complaining about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending towards him. And if we as human beings can ask Allah one dua today and every day, may Allah allow me to be inspired to be able to understand the ploys and deceptions of Shaitan against me. If we get this dua accepted, we will be in a very good shape. Because he comes in a very sly manner. Many times he will present his deceptive ways in a very nice manner. He will mislead us while we are thinking we're actually getting closer to Allah. Innovations and bid'ah is one example of many, many other examples where Shaitan has the capacity to bring our spiritual death and bringing the wrath of Allah upon us, presenting it in a very nice manner, where we will say, oh, this seems to be really good. Let me take this thing on. For example, if a person is thinking that he's getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by doing some sort of service, but through the process of that service is missing his prayers. the process of the service, he's having a illegitimate relationship with someone in the process of that. And he's excited to continue that so-called service. And he's thinking he's doing right. But in reality, he's burning his bridges with Allah Azza wa Jal by indulging in haram. But he won't think about the haram. Shaitan will cover up his eyes from looking at the haram. Instead, he'll keep on saying, I'm serving humanity, I'm serving the community, I'm doing this and that. It's a very dangerous thing. So this is one example of thousands of examples that you and I all go through on a daily basis, probably, where we end up doing something which is actually harmful to us in the long run. But we are not able to understand and decipher that. And we think that this is actually beneficial for us. So just ask this dua to Allah. Ya Allah, grant me the nur in my heart, by which I can differentiate between right and wrong, and by which I can differentiate the instigations of shaitan as opposed to the prodding and encouragement of the angels. Say Ameen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to differentiate between the encouragement of the angel and the wasawis of the shaitan. Because they're both coming and telling different things in our hearts. It's very confusing. The person doesn't understand which way to go. But for the one who has the sixth sense inside, where he says, no, this is crazy. This is a shaitan. You must I'm not going to follow this. As beautiful as it may seem, as nice as being presented, but I'm not going to fall for this. He's going to keep on trying. But Allah Jalla Jalaluhu tells shaitan, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. Indeed, my servants, you have no control over them. So when a person hands himself over to shaitan, shaitan says, you're part of my team. And when you become part of the team of shaitan, he literally controls your brain. Istahwada alaykum shaitan fa Allah Azza wa says, shaitan overtook their minds and he made them forget the remembrance of Allah. Those are part of the army of shaitan. And listen, the army of shaitan eventually will fail and will, at the end of the day, lose the battle. Initially, it may seem like they are winning the battle. That is Surah Mujahdah, the last verse of it, is, listen, that's the army of Allah. The army of Allah are the ones who are going to be successful. So every day we get this choice. Are you going to join the army of shaitan? Or are you going to join the army of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If a person joins the army of Allah, what happens? You submit yourself to him, then Allah Jalla Jalaluhu will take care of you. You're his teammate, if I may say that. You're part of his team. He will make sure that shaitan doesn't have the ability to influence your mind to that degree which he does other places. Those who join shaitan's team, they're gone. They can't even think right. No matter what you present to them, they're completely deviant in their thought, crookedness in their thought. When a person starts deviating from deen, unfortunately you start seeing that before they become an outright atheist. Some of the statements they'll say is cringing. You'll cringe. You'll cringe when you hear it. You say, I don't have an answer, but all I can tell you in my heart that what you're saying is evil, is wrong. What's a proof for this? I don't know. Go speak to a theologian, go speak to a scholar. But I can tell you my sixth sense tells me that what you're saying is horrible. Right? You come across that sometimes. What's happening? Why can't he understand that when you understand that? You don't have the proof, but your heart tells you that's wrong. Because you're part of the army of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You've got the nur in you that allows you to understand that what he's saying is incorrect. The other person, due to the excessiveness of sins and the absence of dhikr, is deaf, dumb, and blind, and they won't return back. When a person continues the path of sin, and doesn't do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he's not able to see the truth, he's not able to hear the truth, not able to understand the truth, and doesn't have the ability to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a very scary state. May Allah protect us from that state.